Welcome to the Digital Amateur Television Experimenters Night. This is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. Amateur radio is a worldwide hobby that has many different aspects. Digital television is just one of the many modes and areas that are covered. Maybe you're interested in becoming involved in the DATV Experimenters Nights. You realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world. Also participate on the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain club rooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30 p.m. local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7 OTC.
This is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania with our DATV Experimenters Night. And I've got Clayton VK7ZCR and Tony VK7VKT in the studio with me tonight. How are we going?
Good, mate. Yeah. Good, thanks.
Excellent, excellent. We'll just do Acknowledgement of Country. In recognition of the deep history and culture of this island, we'd like to acknowledge and pay our deep respects to all Tasmanian Aboriginal people, the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet tonight, the Muanuna people. And the reason I've got Clayton and Tony in the studio tonight is to tell us all about some really cool stuff that they have been getting up to. So who'd like to tell us what you've been getting up to? Let you go.
Right, so what we've been doing is, me for about the last 10 years, I think, and maybe Clayton not much less than that.
Yep. Each
year we get asked by these sailing gurus who write for newspapers and online magazines and the likes to utilise our radio skills in listening to the Sydney to Hobart fleet as they make their way down from Sydney down to Hobart.
Cool.
And record that and stream it and do all sorts of things.
Okay.
All for the sole purpose for them to be able to get snippets of information from that to be the first ones to get their story to air.
Right, okay. About all the intricacies that go on during a race.
Yeah. The first night is always a big one because that's when they're going to find out whether or not all their hard work is working or not, or
and things break.
And in the scariness of the first night in the dark, in the big ocean, in the big swell, unlike the usual racing they'll do around a harbour, things break and they get really scared. And the first thing they grab is the microphone.
Right, okay. Or they hit sunfishes and things
exactly
like
right.
that.
Yeah,
okay. Oh my God, yes, okay. Okay, so probably my first question is, how did you get into doing this?
Right, so for me, about 2012 would have been a fella called Mark Rutherford, who's now a full call. He was just a shortwave listener back then. Now he's done his course and all that. He's a full call. Cool. He was right into the shortwave receiving side of things, and he used to just love being able to listen to the race and the footage. And he said, "Hey, up here in Queensland, I can hear diddly squat. Do you mind if you share your content with me?" And I was a little bit time poor that first year, so he hopped onto my computer remotely, configured it all up with all this whiz-bang stuff. And for the next few years after that, he was sort of running the ship, and we was just sharing our stuff. But it was so interesting that I basically sat there and was listening to the whole lot. Regardless.
Okay.
A couple of years after that, Clayton jumped in and started enjoying it. And then a couple of years after that, Mark, his family was young, growing up.
Okay.
He became very time poor, and he said, "Look, I've got to step aside, guys." So the two fellas that that sort of we do it for.
Okay.
One guy is called John Curnow, the other one's called Rob Cothy.
Okay.
Both into the sailing and the journalism side of things. They said, "Are you guys still keen to do it?" We said, "Oh, of course we are."
Okay.
And we still find ourselves here today doing it.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rob himself, he's got a strong hold on the Sydney to Hobart. He owned and sailed a boat called Spirit of Orion. That in the bad year, he lost a couple of his crew.
1998.
So he understands the race more than any.
Yep.
He lives over in Spain. Although this year he didn't participate much, but
he
writes a lot of his stories from Spain. They go to, it doesn't really matter where you are.
So he listens to the what's been recorded and things like that.
Yeah, he's listening to our streams.
Okay.
So essentially, we run a bit of software called BUT.
Okay.
That's an audio recording bit of software that you can manage a few basic controls with a basic equaliser levels, things like that.
Yep.
But also you can chuck in the details of where you're going to stream it to. The reason we stream it is for these guys to have a listen if they can and have the time. Okay. A lot of the time they don't, so they rely on us hearing it firsthand and then keeping them up to speed with it. Yep. Or like we did this year, was a little bit tired a couple of times, so we'd stream it to our phones, have an AirPod in, laying in bed, then you'd hear and then you jump out of bed and you'd be going on and then typing away and sharing recordings. Right. Yeah.
The beauty is anybody can actually hear our streams.
Yeah, okay. So you make them publicly available?
We use a site called Listen to Your Radio. We stream out through there. Okay. So you get the app and put it onto your phone, and anybody who's got that and knows where we would stream it to can actually pick it up.
Well, there you go.
So anybody wants to listen to our receivers, they can do.
And this little piece of software, that it just grabs sort of blocks of time, does it? And
I have mine set for 5-minute blocks. Okay. And that's only so that if something big is happening, I can just quickly grab, as soon as the 5 minutes up, grab that out, chuck it into Audacity or similar, grab the little bit of footage audio file
where you can see something going on.
So things that become news topical, like a personal locator beacon or whatever else goes off,
which we'll go into.
Straight away, one of the guys that does that, they say, "Oh, we have the audio of that because we want to." I guess they need a couple of points of reference to say, yeah, this really happened.
It's real.
Clayton and Tony just didn't imagine it.
Yep.
We can verify it because we've heard it.
Yeah.
Not this current year, last year.
Yep.
The guys from the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia down at the Media Centre, they were a little bit critical about the work that Clayton and I were doing, in that we were getting through the guys that wrote the story, that they were getting the stories to air quicker than what the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia could release, and they are sort of taking the viewpoint, well, the family and everything would be worried and concerned. But that's not really a valid point, because if the family were concerned, they can certainly call them up on the sat phone and find out for sure if they
well and truly.
Yeah, as well as the two guys we do it for, they're well known in the sailing community. No doubt they'd also let them know what we know.
Yeah, well and truly. Yeah. They're not just outside journos. They're actually interested in the sport and the actual race.
Yeah, and to that end, the stuff that Clayton and I do is so crucial to them getting their story first each and every time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's all recorded then into Google Drive. We have a shared Google Drive.
Okay.
So if we're busy, they can actually grab our audio recording out of that
and listen to themselves.
Yeah. So
okay.
What we do, we share a drive with them.
Okay.
And like Tony's data and my data go to the same.
Yep.
And they can actually pick it up and go through it. So
fantastic. And do you get because you're at Claremont and you're at Lena Valley.
Yes, we do get difference. It's quite interesting because it's a little bit of a rivalry between both of us to who hears both.
Who hears it?
Yeah, I get a little bit of local interference. I'm not sure where it comes from. I've always had suspicions about some of the neighbours with the solar panels and whatnot, and that can sometimes hinder. But then during the night when most of the dodgy stuff is likely to happen, it's crystal clear to us.
Yep.
We get good sort of S7, S9 signals from all and sundry.
Okay. And so what frequencies are we talking about here? Like
4.4 for 3 megs and 6 megs roughly.
Okay.
Yeah, 6 megs the secondary, hardly gets used. Once I used to use daylight, nighttime type stuff, but now it's just the one frequency because a lot of them would forget to switch over.
So from an amateur perspective, a bit like 80 and 40.
Yeah.
That's sort of so if you've got an 80 and a 40 setup, you're probably pretty
that's it.
pretty
But
reasonable.
also we use the Marine Channel one because we listen to the repeater radio one.
Okay.
And that way
So that's VHF.
Yeah, VHF, and you actually hear them when they come around Tasman Island. So then you know it's time to go down the wharf to go and meet them.
Right.
And they also like to know too because they get that recording. So well, the first boat in the races, and they call in again at the iron pot, so they actually can see.
Okay.
They can put that.
And at about that point, they're becalmed.
Yeah.
No.
That's
I'm joking.
Well, it does happen. Yeah.
It does happen, but they like that audio stream because they put that clip up onto the site, and basically from home I can hear 81 no worries at all.
Okay.
And I'll run an SDR because I get a better receiver with an SDR.
Yep.
And I'll get about minus 120 dB
Not bad.
noise floor where I am at home.
Yeah.
It's on internal blocks, so it's on about good 100 metres away from any power lines.
Yeah. Okay.
And I run a dipole basically.
Okay.
So it works quite well.
And what do you run, Tony?
Just inverted V.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's about 6 metres off the ground.
Yep.
It's ideally probably set up for 40.
Okay.
But it works quite well.
Yeah. Okay. And receiver?
This year I'd used the TS-870.
Okay.
Before that I was using the TS-2000.
Yeah.
I find the 870 just seems to receive a little bit better than the 2000.
Better receiver? Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. So you've sort of given us a bit of an idea about what, a typical sort of day. Do you get any sleep? Like
the first night, concede that we won't because it's just can be super interesting. This year, having said that, was probably the most least interesting Boxing Day night of any that I've participated in.
Okay.
But there was always going to be some key components that they are going to want to know up front, and that one of them is the Green Cape Declaration.
Right.
Because that becomes the first point of the race where they know a definitive place where the yachts are, what order they are in, and how far they are away from each other. So a little bit of skullduggery goes on with trackers miraculously sort of not working real well or giving a bit of a misleading. But at that stage, they've got to report in or they get disqualified. So that's a good reason for them to want to play fair at that point.
Just a little. Now, what we've got here is, if I go to the right place, what we've got here is Comanche's call.
Yeah, the Comanche is the first one to hit that area.
DW, this is Andy Comanche. We're in the vicinity of 37 degrees, 50 minutes south at 0 hours, 55 minutes. The skipper declares that we comply with the requirements of SI 35 1 and likes to continue racing. Over. Comanche, copy that. Could I have your present position, please? 3714-15052, over. Thank you, Andrew Comanche. Have a good evening, and we'll see you on the morning ahead. Over. Andrew Comanche, clear. Hobart Race Radio by 16. Over.
Fantastic.
So, you're talking of a typical night. So that typical night I was actually laying on top of the bed because it was pretty slow traffic night with the AirPod in. So I grabbed the phone, text message to John Curnow, Comanche Green Cape. So he straight away sends one back to the Skype channel that we all share live throughout the whole race.
So that's a live. You're listening to that channel. Is that? That's yeah. Okay.
So he shoots. Can I grab then the audio file for that? So I trim it down, send it to him, and then he creates a story, which is probably the Green Cape JPEG there. That's
yes. Hang on.
No, that's just the race rules around Green Cape. That one there.
That one there. That one there.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry,
that's
the one. Yeah. So then he transcribes what was said from the audio file I sent, puts it up there, and that's news within probably 2 minutes of Comanche declaring that fit to continue and where they exactly were. I'm not a sailing person, so I don't know exactly why, but that's every year that is a news story that they always want to run with. Always for the first four, which is the Super Maxis. They always want to run the story of first, second, third, fourth, and then people get a good idea of how far away they really are from each other.
Because you were mentioning earlier, this is one of the few times they actually have to say where they are.
That's right. Yeah, that and when they're rounding Tasman Island, when they that exact, I guess it's 3 o'clock mark alongside Tasman Island.
Yep.
Going back around 2018, Wild Oats played a bit of skullduggery and turned off their AIS tracker as they were getting close to Tasman Island, so that the others didn't know where they were, I'd imagine. But at that exact point when they radioed in, then everybody knew where they were, and their tracker somehow came back on. Yeah, it was just
bit of a dodgy connection.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I love it. And that was that's the Green Cape rules. Just you've got a slide here, and the Green Cape rules came out of 1998, didn't they?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So boats had to declare, and it shows here approaching 37 degrees south. Shall declare HF radio fully operational, fit for purpose, required number of lifeboats on board, all of the requirements of going to sea, basically.
Which was very interesting this year because around probably about 45 minutes after Comanche called in, BlackJack called in. Clayton and I were getting a solid signal, almost zero noise, and no one else could hear them. The JBW, the radio relay vessel, couldn't hear them. Hobart Race Control down at the Royal Yacht Club couldn't hear them. Another boat called CHUTZPH something. Anyway,
Schutzbach
said, yeah, we can hear as good as a bell. JBW said, no, negative. For the purpose of Green Cape Declaration, we can't take a relay. We've got to hear it directly through their HF radio, or they're unfit to race. Eventually, I think they heard enough of it to realise that
that was them.
Yeah, but Clayton and I are listening to it at full signal, and we're thinking, well, we quite easily hear what they're saying, but no one else could. But hence the comment I made that we felt like taking our finger from our PTT button so that we wouldn't answer for them to say, yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
We can hear you. Oh dear. So you've got a picture here of the radio relay vessel.
Yeah.
So that's JBW. If I just head through to, let's go to, and this is...
It's the skipper of the JBW. His name is Ted, I think, or something similar to that.
Okay.
But we'll call him Ted for the purpose of tonight's presentation. Yeah.
Right, he looks like Ted.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
very good.
he's obviously got a Rolex watch on as well. So yeah.
Well, hey, of course, because they're the primary sponsors, aren't they? Now, Hobart Race Control, now there's a familiar face comes up here if we go to Hobart Race Control.
Look at that.
Now, the person in the foreground is one Mr. VK7CL Cedric Lockley. So this must be a few years ago.
It was around about 2014, 2015, if memory serves me right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the Royal Yacht Club's radio room?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, down at Marrieville Esplanade.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Very impressive.
They pretty much share the workload with JBW in that if JBW's not hearing a yacht, Hobart Race Control will chip in and vice versa. So you'd think, Clayton, about 50-50 sort of.
Yeah, around that sort of,
yeah.
Okay.
And then obviously as they get closer to, or they hit Tasman Island and report in on Channel 81, and as they're coming up the river, then Hobart Race Control's got the whole lot.
Okay. And they've got a pretty decent antenna array above the yacht club from memory.
But also think that they VoIP up to the northeast as well, and have a transmitter site up there.
So remote station. Yeah. Okay. Oh well, well and truly they'd be hearing it most of the way, I reckon.
Yeah.
I'm saying that we hear them better than that sometimes.
Yeah. Like
that's amateur radio for you.
Clayton has put together a bit of a go kit to have especially a VHF installation out of a suitcase.
A suitcase. Okay.
From Sydney Harbour, but it didn't It didn't happen the year before last. COVID stuff was happening.
Okay.
But it's certainly still something in the...
So you'd then be able to hear the VHF end?
Yeah.
So the Sydney end?
Yeah.
Of,
I actually got a spot there, but I sort of couldn't get it again this year because the particular fellow got the spot where actually owns all the Accord hotels.
Nice.
And it was only because my sister worked at one.
Yeah.
And he was more than happy to help me.
Yeah.
But it just didn't happen because he actually put it in his own house down in Sydney Heads.
Right. Oh, well, that's not bad.
And
yeah.
because his attitude was he was going to put it into one of his hotels for me.
Yeah.
And he said, I haven't got power up there, but he said, I can soon get an electrician to put it up there for you. he had this, it was really nice of him, John, I can't think of his other name, Schumacher or someone like that. He's pretty well up there. And his attitude was that, we'll just, if it's got to happen, I'll get my own electrician to wire it up. Because I was going to fly over and do it. I thought I'll fly over for something to do.
Okay.
And he said, don't worry about doing that. He said, I'll get my electrician in to fix it for you.
Well, there you go. I love it.
But it'd be nice to get back up there again with it. And
Definitely. Definitely. Now, I'll just go to... Let me just...
So, essentially, these guys, they are creating stories for both the printed press as well as the online out of just tiny snippets that we might be able to grab for them. Things sort of grow from there.
Okay.
And it can be the slightest little piece, and all of a sudden turns into a story.
Yep.
An example of that was that a boat called KO had some rudder damage.
Yep.
So the guy phones me up and he says, "Oh, just heard this boat KO's got some rudder damage," but knowing the type of vessel it is, if there's some rudder damage, it's going to have a hole from the deck all the way through to the bottom of the ocean. Can you see if there's any radio snippets? But being about 1 or 2 in the afternoon on 4 meg, I wasn't hearing anything except a lot of white noise.
Okay.
But I suggested to him, like, in the absence of any search and rescue aircraft or whatever nearby, you'd imagine that everything could be pretty safe and not much going on at all. Except I did notice a twin jet business executive type plane flying at 40,000 feet, which had a really steep climb out of Bankstown. I thought, wow, there's a lot of fuel burn. But anyway, nonetheless, it was flying way overhead, and I thought they wouldn't see much from then, until it descended down to 700 feet, about 40 nautical miles off St Helens. And
Surprise,
I said
surprise.
to this John guy, "This is really strange, there's not many places to land out there." And he said, "Oh, what do you know about the aircraft?" So I did a bit of digging, saw who actually owned it.
Yep.
It was a particular business name. And I thought, I was intrigued. So I then chucked in to see who owned Hamilton Island, and it was the same business name. So then he said, that'd be Sandy Oatley, just having a bit of a look at his boat, Wild Oats, to see what it's up to. So then he runs with this story about nothing to worry about with KO because there's no search and rescue out there, so it must be okay. However, like, he was spotted, kept an eye on his boat.
Just happened to fly out there and have a peek.
Yeah, so if it's a slow news day, tiny little snippets that we might be able to provide certainly turn into a story.
And I like the last sentence in there, which is, "Dude,
Yeah.
have you seen my ride?"
Yeah, because at that stage, I think they finished roughly at about the same place where they were off St Helens, about 3rd or 4th, so they weren't really contenders.
Yeah.
And as they get a bit closer down towards the finish line, well, that's where Clayton kicks in this year, and the sailing Clayton goes.
Well, and this is pretty impressive. This is pretty impressive stuff, because we're picking up. Here we go. This is
1:30 in the morning.
This is 1:30 in the morning.
He remembers it well.
That's night camera.
Now, hang on. This is 1:30 in the morning, and you're already out in the water.
Yep.
So when did you actually leave?
Probably about 12. We actually went on a boat and they took us down there. And
Okay.
these pictures were actually taken in night mode with my phone. And
I'll tell you what, that's pretty bloody good.
yeah,
That's good.
brilliant. I was absolutely wrapped in them.
That's fantastic. And so this is John Curnow again.
Yep.
This is, so he's built. You've sent him these photos, I assume.
Yep, and he's just,
And he's built this story around it coming up the river to the finish line.
I'll send them live in the WhatsApp and
Yeah.
just dragging them down off that. So I did lose a bit of quality off WhatsApp to what I was really getting.
Okay.
And like I'll send him all these pictures up. And then he said, "You haven't phoned yet. I've got enough of them."
I love it. I love it.
But, it was just a bit of humour and like I said, that's a good picture for middle of the night.
Oh, that is a fantastic
there's
picture.
actually no floodlight on that. If I wasn't running night mode, it was just pitch black dark. You couldn't. All you could do is just make out the name without the night mode runner.
So what sort of phone you're on?
The Galaxy 22s.
Oh, there you go. So the latest and greatest Galaxy phone, Android phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So the best part is we don't pay any tax on any of this because we don't earn a single dollar out of it.
You're right.
Payday is like what Clayton got to do this year.
Is
In a premium spot on a media vessel going down the river.
You can't show them up, can you?
I can, actually.
Just flick through them. There's about 8 of them in there that are brilliant. There's one that actually isn't. You'll actually see one without the camera on.
This is...
You bring them up and just flick through them.
Let's zoom out
Just
here.
watch it doesn't go to sleep.
So this is... This... now, hang on.
Probably need to
Let me...
just flick left or right on it. Yeah.
It doesn't do it justice on this screen.
Nah, photography. That's why I kept them on the phone, because you can't get it off. It's good. You keep going.
But you can even see the wash off the boat.
Yeah,
all sorts of stuff.
This phone is off the show. You go through to, you'll actually see one in a minute, which is, like I said, it's pity we can't get the reproduction of in better, but
No, I can't get that any better. That's the screen we're looking at. It's
that's what it's like without night mode.
right.
That's
okay.
that's what the media was actually seeing, all the media people on the boat, because they actually set their cameras
But
down.
you were saying this.
Yeah, and they
So-
could not believe it.
So what happened was after Comanche crossed the finish line, on Sail World's main worldwide website, Clayton's picture is up there ablaze because all the other media only had a stock image of Comanche on theirs because they didn't have a usable
And we've
photo.
got live photos.
And Sail World used one of Clayton's images.
I love it.
Yeah.
So a
Congratulations.
bit of a buzz. I was wrapped with that.
Oh, well
When
and
you can see
truly.
how them pictures are, they're beautiful.
No, well and truly.
They'll be
Well and
hero
truly.
pictures, because that was done in time lapse and the boat was moving.
Yeah.
So what I had to do, actually, because the time lapse, I actually had to try and hold the phone still for a minute, and because if we hit a wave, that destroyed the picture.
Oh my god.
So like it wasn't just a snapping.
No.
So that's what I said. The other media crew out there said. It doesn't matter how good your equipment is. It takes a really good cameraman to get pictures like that.
There you go.
I thought that's pretty good for.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So there is another photo that we've got here, which I'll bring up. Is that the same one? No, that's probably a better photo.
Yeah, probably looks better than trying to get.
That's better.
Yeah.
That's much better.
Yeah.
You can see the stars in the stock.
Oh no, well and truly.
Yeah.
And in fact, you have glare off of the bridge and the
Yeah.
the docks.
Pretty good for it.
That is fantastic, especially given the comparison with what everybody else was seeing, which is basically darkness, and you could only just make out the Andoo on the sail.
Well, even the news crew, when it was on TV, it was like that video. That's what you saw on TV.
Yeah. Okay.
It was like without the night fright, and so that that night vision on that was just, like I said, they had to
Phenomenal.
hold it, but it was really phenomenal.
That's fantastic.
And I call them my hero photographs now.
Oh no, good stuff. That's fantastic. And just acknowledging, we've got Muzz Murray at Sunny Triabunna. Okay, excellent. Evening, Murray. Richard up at Tea Tree. Good evening. Ken Duffy. Ken Duffy from Ashburton in New Zealand. So Ken actually came. Ken and his wife came to the conference.
Ah, brilliant.
So yeah. Hello, Ken, and Andrew from down at Cygnet, and happy New Year to everybody. This is our first DATV night for 2023. Now there was one more, which is the all important. The all-important at the docks with the now I assume that's the Line Honours Trophy. Is that the Line Honours Trophy?
Yeah.
Where they're all being sprayed with champagne and being thrown overboard and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah.
So, given that on Boxing Day night there's very little sleep because we like to listen in,
Okay.
then knowing that early morning on the 28th the phone's going to ring from the media centre to say you're going to have to make your way down to the docks.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't make for a great 48 hours of rest. Yeah.
So what time was this, Clayton? What are we talking
That
here?
would have been 2:30 in the morning. That was, obviously. And I think I didn't get home till about 4 a.m. in the morning, because I actually got home and talked to him and all that. So, because with the media pass, you're just allowed to go anywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I mean, I even had a beer offered to me by the first two handers. You know, I went over and I was talking to him, and he cracked a tin out and said, "Yeah, do you want one?" So it's really friendly, really laid back, sort of.
Well, when you were saying you're in the media crew, you're getting alerts for meals and you're getting
and so the full infrastructure is there available to us as well.
Yeah,
we probably don't need as much as the mainlanders because we have our own ways of being able to go home and send stuff.
Well and truly.
But we can just hook into their systems and it's.
And that's the payday. That's
is.
That's where you get paid. And also the trip down the river's good too. I mean,
well, true.
It's great to have that experience right beside the boat.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Now, hang on. We've got. Just make sure I haven't missed anything here. I haven't missed anything there, but we do have some. We do have some recordings that we haven't been through. Just let me bring them up. We've got the Personal Locator Beacon. Do you want to? Yeah. We'll bring that up, and we'll just go to 2 minutes 16, I think it was.
There is a PLB going off on activities. They're well in on the run line, and we've been trying to reach other boats around them, but without success. Wondered if you could give activity a call on 16 if you have any luck with them over, after the switch on their HF, over.
So Tony and Clayton, what's the story there with the PLBs? That was
some of them get inadvertently activated, especially when they're at the wheel. I don't know whether it's a physical switch that gets flicked or whether or not a pin gets pulled or something happens. But they inadvertently get activated. But John Curnow, he likes to know about this straight up, just so he can sort of keep an eye on the trackers. If they look to be pointing in the right direction and travelling at a good rate of knots, he's usually fairly satisfied that nothing's too amiss. And generally within moments we would hear another call saying they've deactivated the PLB, everything's okay. But sometimes you receive calls or intercept calls that just aren't always great, as in like 2014 when Mistral observed the Cessna hit the...
Mistral, this is Hobart Race Control. Mayday, Mistral, we have you, your message. Can you repeat your message again, over? We have a plane in the water, 4314-14750. Mistral is standing by at the site. Repeat again, you have an aircraft in the water. What description, over? We are approaching the plane. Mayday, we have position 4314-14750, an aircraft in the water. Thank you. We'll pass that message on urgently. If you stand by as best you can, keep us informed, over.
Yeah, knowing the outcome of that, and with probably the next 48 hours after that, hearing that audio on every news service, you start doubting the role that you play in supplying information to the media. But I guess the good of a record race of someone crossing the line and the elation goes with that, I guess there's a balance, isn't there? So one gets reported, so does the other, sort of thing. But
No, and it was a very unfortunate situation, but unfortunately, it's part of the race. It's and you know, if you were doing this in 1998, think about that.
And I don't think there'd be a person watching Bathurst. Watching the car race, not expecting to see a prank either. Yeah. So
correct. It's part of the risk of the race.
Yeah.
Well and truly. So fantastic. So that any sort of last comments, any highlights for each of you, Clayton?
Mine was a boat trip and getting
Okay.
pictures.
Cool.
And obviously doing the others good too. But like I said, I spent most of the time down the docks that I've ever spent.
There you go.
Yeah, on a first name basis with all the media crew. So
You're wearing that media that media tag.
it's pretty good when you got like all the other TV crews around you, and you see the people you see on TV. You're actually standing beside them, like all the newsreaders and that. So
Good stuff. Oh, it's the place to be. it's definitely the place to be. So good stuff. Thanks, Clayton.
Yeah, I would agree with Clayton. And over this many years, seeing the same faces down there each year as well, and the people that Clayton mentioned, like who we see in the media, and they recall you. The people from the Cruising Yacht Club of Australia know us by name as we walk in, things like that. It's it's good. But I guess my best memory would have been 2018 going down in a boat, but that was in a rib.
Okay.
With my butt skidding along the water at about 5:30 in the morning. 10 minutes from the Princess Wharf to the Iron Pot, pretty much. So it was
10 minutes.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. Actually, there's an article.
It wasn't the plane.
No, there's an article actually on Sail World about it where, I just couldn't see what satisfaction dogs got from hanging their head out of a car window doing that speed. My trousers were wet, and I didn't know whether I actually lost control of my bladder or what was happening. But yeah, once we got down there and got side by side, and we just went at the same pace as Wild Oats coming back up the river.
Okay.
It was. And hearing the boats groan, like it's the only probably word you can use to describe it. They just groan, and in the silence of that time of the morning or night,
it's really loud.
Yeah, and as they just move slightly, and it sounds like me trying to get out of bed every morning. But it's an experience that you couldn't buy a ticket for it.
No.
So that's why we don't mind putting in the hard yakka all for free to supply them with some audio to get that at the end of it. Yeah.
good when you're that close. Like when we went over the finish line, you could physically see the expressions on their face. The guys hugging the whole. You know what I mean? You wasn't because you're actually inside the police barrier. The police actually won't let the other boats around. You're actually inside that. The main thing the captain's got to do is watch he doesn't run over them. That's how close you are.
There you go.
So it's really awesome to get that close to a boat. Yeah.
You're the boat allowed inside the cordon.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And the skipper, he will often yell out, anybody got any requests where you want me to go? And some might say, can you just dart around to that side? Yeah, so you've almost got full control of whatever images you're trying to get.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, good stuff.
Let's just hope for a daylight finish next year.
Well, hey, just...
The last 2 years have been in the dark. So.
But you've proven that you don't really need daylight with the phone.
Not with them pictures.
So that's fantastic.
Yeah, no, like get pictures like that. That was more like hero and my highlight of the season. So
well and truly, and those pictures ended up going, everywhere. So
they're actually on my Google Drive, and I've been sharing that to people. So
there you go. I love it.
Yeah,
good stuff. Well, thank you guys, and thank you for sharing, what it's all about, and really exciting. And I get a real sense that you're really engaged in this. It's just sort of
what we'd love for next year, though, if there was even more interested in locations other than around Hobart that wanted to go into receive mode.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
like with the Skype chat on the go, it makes for a really sort of fun atmosphere. And
you're part of the excitement.
Yeah, that's it.
St Helens, Launceston, and even Melbourne, all that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I know we had a guy at Melbourne one year got through quite well. So because it hears like the guy at Melbourne could hear him in Bass Strait, where we sometimes because depending on atmospheric conditions, I'll get that word out. It depends on what we can hear. Because that actually can affect.
And boy, as the amateurs, do we know about that?
Yeah. that's it. The more you got around, the less chance you are. Because we just all share the one Google Drive, and then we can, I heard that better than he, and so they can get the best snippet of something.
Yeah, the ideal situation would be sort of people all the way along the coast and,
and
down
We've
around.
even thought about putting a remote receive station just up at Bishno or somewhere like
Yeah,
that. But it'd be even better if there was an amateur or a shortwave listener up there that wanted to join in the fun.
Well, we put out the call, in about September, I reckon?
Absolutely.
About September.
But mind you, the guys that do the media guys, they're doing races all around the world.
Yeah.
It's usually about the week out. They say, hey, are you guys all hot to go, sort of thing? And they just, they will say, yeah.
They just send us an email this year and said, are you guys ready to do your magic again this year?
Yeah.
That's spot on.
So we go, yeah, we're ready.
Spot on. I love it. I love it. Well, fantastic. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll just do a bit of a reset of the studio, and we will be right back. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
It's good. If you want, I'll send you a link to all these if you want, if you're interested.
All right, this is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV experimenters night. And wow, wasn't that inspirational? And an application for radio, a fantastic application for radio, and being able to use your amateur radio skills for something a little bit different, and being able to contribute, and then end up going down the down the river on the media vessel as well. Wow. Okay. So I just wanted to do a very quick show and tell here, because I got a Christmas present on the at Christmas, funnily enough, of a Garmin Vivo Active 4S smartwatch. Now, having played with this watch for a little while, it's got all of the health things and all of that sort of stuff, and all the stuff that you'd expect. But there are a whole lot of widgets that you can download from the Garmin site, and you can also purchase from the Garmin site, which include some ham radio functionality. And one of the things that you can download and include is a grid square locator. Now it's having slight bit of a problem finding the GPS location, the GPS signal in here. Just bear with me and I'll race outside. This is live television. Okay, so what we've got is, if I zoom in here, we have a grid locator up to 10 digits. Now, up to 10 digits enables us. 10 digits gives us, I looked this up, gives us a 0.5 metre by 1 metre accuracy. And in fact, the specification that I looked up only had 8 digits. So it's probably extrapolated the 9th and 10th digit. But anyway, that's that is Maidenhead grid locator, and there'll be some others that I'll download on the way through. So so there you go. Very handy. And so if you've got a smartwatch, look up ham radio widgets, because you may very well be able to use the GPS functionality in your watch to get all sorts of things like grid locators and all sorts of things. Now, I was going to do this one last week, but we didn't quite get to it. And one of the things that I've been advertising is for those people who have travelled to the eastern seaboard, you will no doubt have travelled potentially on tollways, and you may or may not have purchased one of these little e-toll widgets that automatically record you passing under these particular gantries that I'll go into in a sec. But one of the things, I found this one on the road and it had been run over. So someone had obviously thrown it out of the window or it had dropped out of their car. And so I took it apart to see what was inside, which is what any good amateur would do. Oh, very good, Richard. Yes, I should have put on the walk in the Black Forest. You're right. So inside these little e tags. Sorry, I'll go the other way. There we go. Inside these little e tags, there are a few components which I'll point out. If we pull it out, there is a very large lithium battery on the back of it. These are reputed to last about 5 years. So there is the little antenna. There's a little diode here, little capacitor, little loop antenna. They can work the particular standard, the DS. Now let me get this right so that I don't confuse the hell out of everybody. The Dedicated Short Range Communications Protocol, or the DSRC, uses either 915 or 915 megahertz or 5.9 gigahertz. This little cover is just a reflector. That is all it is. That's a reflector for the loop antenna. The loop antenna goes on here. You can see there is a little bit of copper strip here diagonally across to aid the antenna. This goes into the little clip on your windscreen, and there is a little optocoupler LED here that I suspect has a little flag in it that when you plug into the holder in your vehicle, it actually puts a little flag into the optocoupler and probably starts to power this particular module. This is the little processor here. It is a Q-free, so it's a Jotun Korean IC. It has a crystal next to it, a 12 meg crystal next to it. This is a little piezoelectric buzzer. So as you go through the gantry, this thing beeps and tells you that it's registered. This particular card has a unique number, has a unique number in the world, and it is registered against your registration number. And what happens on those gantries, and I'll give you a view of what the gantries look like. If you haven't seen them, if you haven't been to the eastern seaboard, these gantries are quite large. They have RFID readers on them, but they also have cameras on them that take photos and do rego recognition. So they match up the rego to what the RFID tag is giving you, and hopefully they match and they deduct from your account whatever the toll is. So this is an E-tag RFID. Now the protocol they actually use, the short range. Oh, hang on. I want to zoom in here. Let me just do. There we go. Now, Q-Free is the company. The short range, dedicated short range communication allows high-speed comms between the vehicle and the roadside, or between vehicles. There is actually a vehicle-to-vehicle protocol as well. So that's interesting. Up to 1,000 metres, so up to 1 kilometre, which is interesting. Used for things like tollways, as I said there, intersection collision avoidance, approaching emergency vehicle warnings, vehicle safety inspections, transit or emergency vehicle signal priority, electronic parking payments, in-vehicle signing, rollover warnings, probe data collection, highway railway intersection warnings, all sorts of things. So it is a protocol that communicates with this particular badge. In this case, all it's doing is giving a particular code, a unique code, which can then be used to actually debit your bank details with the toll. But it could be all sorts of bits and pieces. The 915 megahertz frequency has only about a bandwidth of 12 megahertz available. However, the 5.9 gig actually has quite a bit more. It has about 75 megahertz of bandwidth available. So you could actually do a fairly substantial data transfer on 5.9 gigs between devices, between vehicles and fixed gantries and infrastructure. The vehicle-to-vehicle and the roadside unit-to-vehicle type protocol. You can look up the dedicated short-range communications protocol, but it communicates with the particular unit, grabs the information, can give that unit some information. The unit can then react to that. Etc. Has about a 5-year life. In Australia, it's marketed by a company called Q-Free, and in fact you can see, on the processor here you can see Q-Free, and also if I flip it over, there is the Q-Free marking on the back of it. All the tags, all the bits and pieces, all the RF tags, all the electromagnetic compatibility tags, etc. So I just thought I'd show it because you don't get to pull these apart very often, because of course someone's paid for this, but unfortunately it's dropped out of their car and been run over, so it's no use to anybody right at the moment. But anyway, that's e-tags. And 915 and 5.9 gigs use of them, and they all have these rather large lithium batteries in them, and use a little bit of RF technology and a little bit of processing technology, all in the little tag that clips into your the clip on your windscreen, and beeps at you when you go under the gantries. So there you go. That's all about e-tags. Now, very quickly, I showed the magnetic loop antenna last week, and just put on the Richard put on the Walk in the Black Forest music. Because we have a guest back in the studio, which is the the magnetic loop. So this is just a very quick recap. A magnetic loop, about 1.26 meters in diameter, about 4 meters circumference. It has a 200 to 5 picofarad vacuum capacitor sitting in here. It has This is how you get to the coupling on the vacuum capacitor. There's a bit of a rod that goes down, a bit of non-ferrous rod that goes down to the bottom. And in the bottom, below the coupling coil, and if we zoom down the length of it, this is a bit of 100mm PVC pipe. And we go down, you can see that's the LDF 450 coupling loop that goes through to, and you can see there's an N-type connector on the back of there. And then down the bottom here, if I slide this down, you can see the bit of dowel sitting there. Now in the bottom of that, we have the following piece of equipment. So this is a little permanent magnet geared 12-volt motor into a little gearbox. So right down to very slow. Goes through a screw thread and a little coupling that goes along that screw thread. There's a little guide down here, and then there's two micro switches here with the diodes. And basically, on these two leads here, you put positive and negative on one side to make it go in one direction until it hits the micro switch, and then you flip them over to the other polarity, and it'll go in the other direction. Now, this will give me 21 turns. So this has been designed. This thread and the limit switches will give me 21 turns from one end to another. And 21 turns is the limit on the vacuum capacitor, and so I can't go any more than 21 turns, or I'm going to damage the vacuum capacitor. So this is what prevents me from damaging the vacuum capacitor. And this mounts inside the PVC tube and connects to the dowel rod and gives me my 21 turns. Now, Peter VK7ZPD put me onto a wonderful project that it comes from Dave, who is Dave Trewhen. Who is G4 now? I've got to get his call sign right. G7IYK. G7IYK. And he has put together a project which is a magnetic loop tuner. And this particular magnetic loop tuner, what it does is generates its own frequency, which it then goes through a little tuning process. There's a forward and reverse bridge here with these are the ICs and the resistors and everything. Here's the frequency, the DDS, so the digital frequency synthesis, and it goes through and finds the resonant point for that particular frequency and moves either the permanent magnet motor or the stepper motor. It's got a stepper motor drive on it as well, and tunes your magnetic loop and gives you all of the coordinates and the SWR, etc. on this screen. And also out this side, there's a USB connector which goes off to a little PC program, which gives you all of the details and enables you to actually control this via the PC. So thank you very much to Phil, not Peter, Phil VK7ZPD for putting me onto that project, and I'm in touch with Phil. And I have no doubt as the PCB arrives and the programmed pick and a few other things arrive, I will be in contact with him to build that up and actually give me the ability to tune the tune the magnetic loop. And I'll put all the details in the description in the video if you're interested, so you can go off. The project is actually on Instructables, the Instructables website, and in fact Dave G7IYK G7IYK has about 6 or 8 projects on there, one of which is actually a hex beam, which is a very interesting project, but also the magnetic loop tuning project. So that's and thank you to Phil for putting me on to that, and I look forward to doing some segments on these programs, letting you know how that goes, and so we're really close. I'm waiting for a transition coupling on the bottom from 100mm to 50mm, so that I can then put it onto a rotator, and we should be in a position then to start doing some testing, some actual RF testing. I've only had the Nano VNA on that particular unit at this point in time, but very impressed with it meeting the design specs that were originally there. So really good. So we have, it's 8:30, so we have run out of time. Just a reminder, 2 weeks time, it is the UHF VHF Field Day, 14th and 15th of January, Saturday and Sunday, 14th and 15th of January, and the whole of January is the Ross Hull Memorial Marathon contest, VHF and above contest. So just a reminder that that's on, and the VHF UHF Field Day is coming up. We'll do a big promo of that next week. So thank you to Clayton, thank you to Tony, and Phil. And Dave for contributing, and also the person who dropped their ETOL tag out of their car. Thank you very much. Great insight into what's inside these little things. So there you go. Anyway, we get underway. We're doing these shows all through the New Year break. So you can expect 7:30 on a Wednesday night the stream to be up and going. So 73, and we'll catch you next week with another show, another digital amateur television experimenters night show. 73, and we will catch you next week. Cheers.